You know what you could do to make Mic Drop more interesting?
Yeah?
You could listen to new music instead of, like, the stuff you already know, because that way you're discovering things with everyone else.
Good idea. What's new? What's new? What's new?
Take my money.
In January last year, I was really excited to see that, in addition to the news PJ Harvey was recording a new album, which is always exciting news, she's going to be doing it as a live exhibition. She got a specially made studio with a glass wall so that the public could come in and watch her making it. The studio is quite interesting. It's at Somerset House in London, and apparently the space is the former Inland Revenue Rifle Range, which I'm glad I paid my taxes now. In April this year, they finally released the album, having recorded it in like January, February the previous year. It shot straight to #1 in the UK album charts, because people have been waiting so long and were so excited to see what it was like. One of the things that I love about PJ Harvey's music is her fans, because pretty uniquely under all the music that I listen to a lot of very arty music, a lot of very downbeat music, all sorts of things that people kind of take against and judge very harshly or take super seriously. And one of the things I've always loved is having a look for reviews of PJ Harvey's music and seeing that the fans are really excited with whatever she's going to do next. She's experimented a lot, changed styles a lot over the years, and the most negative review I've ever seen of anything of hers was someone, when she released which is an annoying album name to say, sort of the criticism that it wasn't anything new, it was kind of more of the kind of stuff she'd done over the previous few albums. It was a typical PJ Harvey album, all the songs were great, we expected a little bit more, but it's still fine. And the rest of the time, whenever she's dramatically changed her tack, you know, there's always been this wonderful openness and we're excited to see what else happens kind of thing, which is sadly all too rare, and I really appreciate that. So I definitely wasn't nervous about what the album would be like. I was confident that I would enjoy it, but I was interested to see whether recording it in public, doing it as a bit of an art piece, would lead to artier, weirder music, different kinds of instrumentation. But no, it seems like she's pretty much just made the album she was going to make anyway. The resulting album is really interesting because of that, but it doesn't suffer in any way or seem weird if you're not into the fact that it was a live installation. It's still a really great album, and it's still heavy where it needs to be. There's a lot of baritone and tenor sax in here, so even when there aren't loud guitars, there's still a kind of a weight and an earthiness to it, which is really cool. And naturally I picked the heaviest song for this particular episode of Mic Drop, The Ministry of Defence. This song is absolutely thunderous. Just really turn the speakers up for this one. It is so heavy and so haunting. It starts with this incredibly just sparse guitar and bass and drums, proper heavy rock, but then the saxophones and the other instruments and the vocals come in and add to it. This I actually thought was one of the less woodwinds covered songs on the album, but I've looked through the list and there is a lot of saxophones and bass clarinet and stuff on here, which is not something you see on a lot of rock albums. You see it with certain bands who that's their thing, and in the 80s there were lots of sort of more synth poppy bands that had sax in, but to have something that's quite heavy and that has saxophone in and still works is pretty cool. So the album on the whole, as with the last one, is pretty political, and as you might expect, Ministry of Defence, the song, is no exception. So I was going to have a thing kind of comparing the bleakness of this song to other songs, but I felt like I was trying to say this is bleak in a good way and then putting down other songs, which is not right. There are a lot of different kinds of bleak you can do. I don't want to say that one is better than the other, because they can all connect to people in different ways at different times depending on how you're feeling and your age and what kind of music you're into. So I really don't want one of my first Mic Drop videos to be putting down certain kinds of music and certain ways of writing music, particularly when I'm probably going to come around to those kinds of music in a few videos' time and actually want to say something really positive about why that's still an important kind of music to have. Also, those of you who are into watching trends may want to start keeping track of the number of times that I mentioned in passing that Mark Lanigan or Alan Johannes just happen to be guest starring in this album. Because they do get around a lot. Like, there's a lot of musicians I love that all like each other and got to know each other and guest star on each other's albums, and one of the great things, particularly when I was at uni, of discovering all these bands was these new exciting bands that I was discovering had all guest starred on previous albums by bands that I already loved but who come from completely different parts of the world, and you're like, oh my god, it's so cool, they know each other. So yeah, this has Alan Johannes on a lot of tracks. And I'm sure it'll become a trend of me to just go, just in passing, that isn't the reason why I chose this album or this track, but by the way, one of the same few people is on it. Alan is on guitar, sax, and backing vocals in this one. Didn't even know he played sax. Again, just involved in everything. But yeah, really excited with my cool new music. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go and pick up a load of money off the floor.
No, 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 no.